Back with another dispatch from the front lines of the Scallop War. The French are apparently threatening heavy artillery against British fishing boats. I'll put a link to the previous video in the description, I suppose, just so you can catch up on what's happening. But basically, England and France are going to war over scallop rights in Normandy waters. Because fuck the French. British fishermen have been warned they could face heavy artillery, reasonable proportional response here, to French aggression against British ships in the latest twist in the recent Scallop Wars. The French Minister of Agriculture, the person in charge of the French Navy, has hosted talks with his British counterpart, George Eustace, in a bid to tackle the rising tensions between the two countries. Travat said, "Because I am defending French fishermen, our fishing industry, I have asked my English counterpart to see to it that English fishermen keep out of the area where the clashes took place until we have the necessary talks and meetings to find a solution. It is claimed that French fishermen are looking to step up attacks against UK boats. They shared images of websites offering slingshots and ball bearings." Really, France? Are we going back to old weapons, are we? Again, I'm not saying that England has the largest number of longbows per capita in the entire world, but if I looked up that statistic, it's probably true. Pierre Sophie, a French fisherman, has warned that the war is not over. In a series of Facebook posts translated to English, he wrote, "Friends, fishermen, watch your AIS, the tracking system. If he keeps heading down there, go back home. War is not over." In another post he wrote, "We will come back with more boats. We will have to get the heavy artillery out." Yeah, okay, maybe he doesn't have the artillery. And a fellow French fisherman, Steph LF, also gave his reaction. "The little French frog ate some, British roast beef. They're dunking on us on Facebook. How can our government allow this indignity?" But seriously though, apparently the French Navy are ready to intervene in the Scallop War. Because it turns out the Agriculture Minister does control their navy, and says that they would be sent out to police the waters if there was any repeat of last week's conflict over the mollusks. Well, okay, here's the conflict. The British are allowed to fish there, the French are not allowed to fish there. The French came out and attacked the British because they're not allowed to fish there. We haven't done anything wrong here, have we? But we're acting like the French can't be held responsible for their own aggression. We can't go on this way. We can't have clashes like this. Well, why don't you restrain your lawbreakers? You have a bunch of citizens breaking the law. Don't you have a responsibility to police them? Naturally, this means that industry representatives from Britain and France have to meet to try and resolve the issues because, the French aren't going to be like, yeah, we'll follow the rules. But it's okay. The Scallop Wars are over. And the eternal Anglo wins again. British and French fishermen have celebrated progress made in negotiations to end the Scallop Wars in the English Channel, after lengthy discussions on Wednesday, during which the French are said to have expressed regret for recent skirmishes. "Yes, we're so sorry we broke the law." Both sides reached an agreement on the principles of a deal. No UK vessels will fish for scallops during the window in conflict, during which the French are not allowed to harvest the mollusks. Instead, the British boats will be compensated for their losses, with the sum to be debated in Paris on Friday. See, this is where the French are going to renege. They're like, "Oh yeah, okay, we'll give you the money. Oh, actually, we're not going to do that now. So prepare for our fucking boats to come back." And honestly, Theresa May, stop being so weak. Send the Navy. A joint statement from the UK and French government said that the talks in London have been constructive and finalised deal hinges on a reasonable compensation package. Well, that's exactly the point. What is going to be considered reasonable compensation? The French are probably not going to consider reasonable compensation reasonable. Jim Portas, the chief executive of the Southwestern Fish Producers Organisation, said, "I'm very pleased with the negotiated a deal which satisfies the honour of fishermen on both sides." And honestly, I bet most of this is about that. It's not the French particularly give a shit. I bet it's just they couldn't do it and the British could. Quite frankly, if it's not good enough on Friday, it will be rejected. But when asked if the French apologised, Mr. Portas was tight-lipped. He said, "They voiced regret." Oh, really? They didn't fucking apologise. But apparently the French are wary of the deal with the UK. Anthony Quesnel said, like many fishermen, he is adamant that British boats should abide by those same French rules when it comes to fishing for scallops. Their refusal to do so justified the attack last week. Whatever happens, I don't think the British will come back, because if they do, another confrontation is inevitable. We'll defend our livelihood. I can't just stand by and watch. Well, okay, listen, right? It's not exactly the way it works. We have French and Spanish ships fishing in our waters too. Welcome to the wonderful world of the European Union. And they're constantly portraying themselves as both the plucky underdogs and the superior victors, and then the victims of their opponents. This is what I hate about the fucking way they describe this, right? Look at this. One of the fishermen, Frank Touche, remembers the clashes last week as frightening. Well, then go fucking home, you criminal. His tiny boat, Les Sachello, was crushed between the La Rose Devents and a 30-metre Scottish vessel. After he joined the demonstration at sea, he shows us the crack still running along the top of the wooden hull, which he says will take him 2 weeks to repair. It pushed up for me from behind, then pulled alongside to crush me. I was very scared. It was such a big boat. You shouldn't have fucking been there. What are you doing? You're acting... Oh, I'm the victim of my aggression. So this is stage 2 of the Scallop War, the initial confrontation, then the initial negotiation. When the French finally reject this, then I suppose it shall be total war against France for control of the scallops in the English Channel.